In the wake of the U.S. Supreme Court's decision overturning Roe v. Wade, a growing number of companies are pledging to pay for employee travel costs if they want an abortion, and they're forced to get one in another state. More than half of U.S. states are expected to ban or limit abortions. So what about covering the costs for parents who choose life? A Texas-based insurance company has told its employees that it intends to provide maternity and paternity paid leave. Buffer Insurance says it will also help cover medical costs for childbirth or costs of adopting children. Might this be a new trend? Well, joining us with more is Brandon Harvath, Christian Care Ministry. Brandon, so what do you think about this plan that Buffer Insurance is putting out there for its workers?
Yeah, so Gary, I think it's great. And Dobbs by far is the most exciting case, certainly of our lifetime, of my lifetime. The overturning of Roe v. Wade has really been the prayer of many Christians, many Americans for over 50 years. The bottom line is that SCOTUS, though, isn't our only option for advancing a culture of life, like you see here in this example. Medishare is an example in business now for just about 30 years. I have the privilege of serving as Chief Operating Officer. We're a pro-life organization. We've been since our inception nearly 30 years ago, but members don't have to stop at just saying they're pro-life. We can do exactly what you see in this example and help support and fund things like the expenses of adoption for our members.
Well, I'm sure this would be extremely expensive for many employers to help cover birth or adoption costs. Do you think this may become common, or only just a few pro-life companies here that will be doing it?
Yeah, it could be. It's hard to tell. But Gary, I've had the opportunity to be on both sides. I've had the privilege of serving as the president of a hospital system and was an insurance executive for a number of years prior to that. And you know what? These are, frankly, the same employers who for years have been in bed with commercial insurance companies looking to find ways to, push employees to the lowest cost healthcare schemes available. And this, frankly, in many cases for employers now who are flying employees around the country for abortion, this is just hypocrisy, and in some cases for political points only. And what we're really dealing with, and what your listeners need to know, is good versus evil. And at the end of the day, abortion is bad all of the time. So what about the thousands of employees who every year seek to rescue a child from an orphanage? How about those costs, right?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking of maybe how about someone wants to adopt, they fly to Peru or Guatemala or someplace like that. Will they get reimbursed? How likely is it then that this will put pressure on those same big companies that are paying abortion travel costs to also help those who choose life, birth, or adoption?
Well, and Gary, more importantly, here is how, as Christians, we can push into this issue more directly. Consumers, Christians in particular, on issues like life, need to vote with their dollars now more than ever before. And frankly, if ever there was a time to carefully think about where you buy goods, where you work, where you seek health care, now is the time. And for all of the employers out there who insist on investing in abortion, well, now's the time to stand tall as Christians and make sure that every dollar we spend goes to support life.
Brandon, you're involved in Medishare, and before that, you mentioned Cigna. How do you see insurance companies handling this? Because most already cover hospitals and doctors' costs related to pregnancy and birth. What role can they play in promoting life rather than abortion?
Well, it's a great question, and organizations like commercial health insurance companies, we don't expect much out of, frankly, right? They're in the world and like the world. Unlike insurance organizations like Medishare, we're based on biblical standards, biblical values like stewardship and responsibility, and lifestyle agreements that live up to or adhere to biblical or Christian values of faith. And, the Medishare program, as an example, is a cost-sharing model. It's nothing like insurance. It's really a way for members to share agreed-upon medical expenses with each other that still align with their religious values. So my answer to that would be, let's not wait on the world, right, to change and do something different. Employees really should be thinking about just simply leaving those so-called employer-sponsored health insurance plans now, if it wasn't obvious before, and look for alternatives in Christian-based healthcare, and in particular sharing plans, like Medishare, where every dollar you spend, you can be sure goes to fund things that align with your biblical values.
And a big need for support for crisis pregnancy centers and things like that, right?
Yeah, that's right. And frankly, programs like Medishare that don't go to fund expensive procedures that don't align with biblical values, whether it's abortions or other sex reassignment surgeries, things like that. Part of the reason why Medishare, frankly, is about half the price of commercial health insurance plans. So you can take those dollars you're saving and put it towards life-giving causes like supporting crisis pregnancy centers.
Okay, Brandon Harvath, Christian Care Ministry. Thank you, Brandon, for providing those insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary.